Have you ever, looked at that tangled gold chain or maybe that one earring that's been sitting in a drawer forever and thought, could this actually be cash?
Oh, all the time?
Or for us here, is selling it at a pawn shop right here in Queens even worth the trip?
It's such a common question, and the
Mm.
answer is a definite yes. That gold, even if it's broken, even if it's just scrap, has real intrinsic value. The key is just knowing how to get it.
And that's exactly our mission today. We're doing a deep dive into the whole process, what to expect, the strategies you need to know
Mhm.
for selling gold at a Queens pawnbroker. This is basically your shortcut to walking in there feeling confident, knowing you can turn that old metal into, well, actual money.
And that intrinsic value you mentioned, that's really why gold and pawn shops are such a perfect match. It's not like an old phone that becomes obsolete.
Right.
Gold is a commodity, so even if a piece of jewelry is completely smashed, the pawnbroker's just buying the raw material. They can sell it straight to a smelter.
Okay, before we get into all the details like purity and pricing, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor for this deep dive, Jamaica Pawnbroker.
Great people over there.
You really are. The
Yeah.
premier pawn shop right in Jamaica, Queens. If you're looking for a transaction that's professional, courteous, honestly, just smooth, they are the place to go. Known for their 5-star reviews, you can reach them at 718-739-6060.
A really solid operation.
Okay, so let's unpack this. When you walk into a pawn shop with gold, it's not like you're just, selling something on Craigslist. You're stepping into a pretty specific business model.
A dual business model,
So
really.
what is that? What's the core function of a pawn brokerage, and how does our gold fit in?
You have to think of them less as a retail shop and more like a very specialized, very fast, temporary bank.
Okay.
Their main business, their whole identity, is making secured loans. You bring something in, your personal property, and you use it as collateral. That's the pawn. They give you a loan against it.
So with my gold chain, I have a choice. I can sell it to them on the spot, since they're also licensed secondhand dealers. Or I can pawn it, meaning I plan to come back, pay off the loan, and get my chain back.
Exactly. And you have to understand that choice because it totally shapes the offer you're going to get. For the pawnbroker, that loan is where the real profit is,
Right, the interest.
the interest. They look at your item, they lend you less than what it's worth, and then they collect interest on that money until you come back.
So their calculation isn't just, what's this gold worth? It's also, how likely is this person to actually come back and pay me?
That's the whole game. They want you to come back. The business runs on those interest payments.
And those rates can be pretty high.
They can be steep. The sources we looked at, they found anecdotal evidence of monthly rates around 23%
23% a month.
per month. Annually, that's a staggering 276%. That return on the loan is the real engine of the business.
Wow. 276%. Okay, that definitely puts things in perspective.
Mm.
So if I'm just walking in to sell some broken gold, I'm dealing with a business that's wired to think about loans and interest first.
Correct.
But let's say I just want the cash, no loan. How does the pawnbroker make sure what I'm selling is even real or legal?
That's the next big piece of the puzzle. Security and legitimacy. And it's fascinating how much they focus on this, especially in a place like New York.
Mm.
They have two massive risks they have to avoid:
Which are...
buying stolen property and buying counterfeit gold.
So for the legal side, what do I need? Just the gold.
Absolutely not. You need a valid government-issued photo ID, a driver's license, a state ID, a passport. That's non-negotiable.
Okay.
They keep that information on file, and they'll ask you questions about where you got the item. It's all to cover themselves and make sure they're not dealing in stolen goods.
That makes total sense. So now for the gold itself. When they look at my old ring, how do they figure out what it's worth on the spot?
They're looking at two things and two things only: purity and weight. And you need to understand purity, the carat system, before you even walk in the door.
Okay, so pure gold is 24 karat, 24K. But most jewelry isn't that, right?
Almost never. It's too soft. So most American jewelry is 10K, 14K, or maybe 18K.
So my 14K necklace is 14 parts gold and 10 parts and something else.
Exactly. Other metals, alloys like copper or silver, to make it stronger. The pawnbroker's first job is to test for that exact purity. They're constantly on guard against fakes.
Let's talk about that counterfeit risk, because that seems like a huge deal for them. The sources mentioned tungsten.
Ah, tungsten. It's the absolute nightmare for anyone buying gold
Why is that?
because it has almost the exact same density as gold. So a tungsten bar plated in gold will feel and weigh exactly the same as a solid gold bar.
Wow. So people will actually drill out real gold bars and fill them with tungsten.
They do. Or for smaller things, they'll just plate a tungsten core. It's a huge problem.
So how does my local Queens pawnbroker protect themselves from that without, drilling into every single earring I bring in?
For small jewelry, they use things like acid testing. They'll scratch the item on a stone and apply different acids to see how the metal reacts. That tells them the karat.
I seen that.
Yeah, and more sophisticated shops might have an electronic tester or even an XRF scanner. But for you, the seller, this is a good sign. If the pawnbroker is being careful and thorough with their testing, it means they're serious.
It shows they know what they're doing.
Exactly. If they just glance at it and throw out a number,
Mm,
I'd be a little wary.
that's a great tip. Now, a really critical point for anyone selling jewelry. You have to be ready to lose money, emotionally speaking. The designer brand doesn't mean much, does it?
It means almost nothing. You have to get that out of your head.
Yeah.
Unless it's a very specific collector's coin, like a U.S. Gold Eagle, you are selling it for its melt value.
The value of the raw metal.
The raw metal, period. If there's a big diamond in it, that's a different conversation. The diamond's value might be way more than the gold setting, but that gold setting itself, to them it's just scrap, priced by weight and purity.
Okay, so this brings us to the big question. How do you make sure you're getting the best possible price for your gold in Queens? It sounds like it all starts with homework.
Preparation is everything. You have to know the intrinsic scrap value of your gold before you walk in that door.
How do you do that?
You need 3 pieces of information: the current spot price of gold, the weight of your items, and their purity.
That sounds a little intimidating. Can you break that down?
It's easier than it sounds. First, get a small digital gram scale. They're cheap. Weigh your gold, but separate it by carat, all your 10K in one pile, all your 14K in another.
Okay, got it. Then what?
Then you look up the daily spot price of gold. It's usually listed per ounce, so you'll need to convert it to a per gram price. Then you just do some simple math.
Give us the formula, the shortcut.
Okay, so you take that price per gram and you multiply it by the purity. For 14K, the purity is about 0.583 because it's 14 divided by 24.
Right.
Then you multiply that number by the weight of your item in grams. That final number is the full melt value, 100% value.
And obviously the pawn shop can't pay you that full amount. They have to make a profit.
Of course, they have overhead, they have to ship it to a smelter. So you should expect their offer to be a percentage below that full melt value. Your goal is just to make that percentage as small as possible.
This gets to that big trade-off, doesn't it? Patience versus speed. If I need cash today, right now, I'm going to have to accept a lower price.
That's the service they provide. Speed. If you're in a jam, a reputable local shop like our sponsor, Jamaica Pawnbroker, gives you that immediate liquidity.
Right. You can call them at 718-739-6360, walk in and walk out with cash.
And that convenience has a cost, which is a slightly lower percentage of the melt value. But for many people, that's a worthwhile trade.
But if you can be patient.
If you can wait, you could try selling online to specialized bullion dealers. You might get closer to, say, 95% of the melt value. But you have to deal with shipping, insurance, waiting for a check. It's a whole process.
So the pawnbroker is really selling you convenience.
The service of speed and convenience right in your neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And, speaking of the neighborhood shop, the environment itself can tell you a lot.
What should you look for when you walk in?
You want it to look professional, clean, well-organized. If the place is just a jumbled mess of low-value junk piled everywhere, that might be a red flag.
You'd rather see nice items like watches or other jewelry laid out properly in display cases?
Exactly. It shows they're a well-managed business that actually cares about the valuable items they handle,
Yeah.
including yours.
Okay, let's pull all this together. 3 key takeaways for you, the listener, who's thinking about selling gold in Queens. First, know what kind of transaction you're in. Is it a loan or a sale?
Right. Understand their business model. Second, come prepared. That means your government ID and having some idea of the carat value of your jewelry. Be ready for them to test it.
And third, the big one, do your homework on the price. Know the spot price, weigh your gold, calculate that melt value so you have a baseline.
And manage your expectations based on that. Know that immediate cash comes at a premium. With that knowledge, selling gold at a good pawn shop in Queens can absolutely be a safe, simple, and profitable thing to do.
Don't be afraid to ask them how they got to their number. A good shop will explain it.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you are in the Jamaica, Queens area and you want that fast, professional, 5-star experience, remember Jamaica Pawnbroker. They deal with everything from gold to high-end electronics. The number again is 718-739-6060.
And, just a final thought for you to consider on your own. We talked about speed versus patience. But there's another kind of patience. Gold is a commodity, and its price changes every single minute.
Oh, that's a great point.
The difference between selling on a day when the market is down versus a day when it's up could be way more than the shop's entire profit margin. So maybe track the price for a few days before you go. A small wait for a global price bump could really pay off.
Timing is everything, even at the local level. Great advice. Tune in next time for more local financial tips and smart selling advice right here on The Deep Dive.